The council chamber on Virex Prime was shaped like an eye, wide, tiered, and perpetually watching. 8 species sat in its pupil, the galaxy's power condensed into one room, and none of them were human. "Why haven't they responded?" hissed Chancellor Vrolak of the Skuran dynasty, his spine frills twitching with impatience. "We burned their colonies, vaporized their moon stations, even crippled that pathetic Mars dockyard. And Earth still says, nothing?" The hall rumbled with laughter, guttural, crackling, superior. "They have no fleets worth mentioning," said the Volari delegate, her skin a translucent sheen of blue light. "Their silence is not a strategy. It's surrender wrapped in shame." "They're primitives with nuclear toys," scoffed General Urin, tapping the table with one iron. Talon. "They think in dirt and death, not tactics and ascension. We don't need a war, we need a cleanup crew." Mockery, contempt, consensus. But not everyone joined the chorus. Ambassador Kael'tor of the Mithari sat still. His eye stalks hadn't moved since the meeting began. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He watched the silence until the screen flickered. "Sir," croaked the technician, "you might want to see this." Every delegate turned. The central holoscreen stuttered, distorted, then locked. A new signal. From Earth. It wasn't encrypted. It wasn't long. Just a single image. A Terran fleet. Silent. Stationary. Orbiting Saturn's rings like a necklace of death. And beneath it a phrase. "We were listening." A beat of silence. Then another. "What is this?" muttered Vrolak. Mithari ambassador finally spoke. "It's not a message," Kael'tor said, voice low and vibrating. "It's a reminder." Another flicker. A secondary feed opened, this time from a pirate relay station near Proxima. A Terran warship passed through the frame. Slow, silent, seamless. Its hull was blacker than void, edges glowing with restrained energy. No weapons visible, no escort. And yet, the station's readings showed planetary-scale reactors powering its core. The technician's mandibles clacked. "It's not broadcasting an ID. It's not broadcasting anything. It doesn't need to," Kael'tor whispered. Vrolak slammed a claw onto the table. "This changes nothing. They are one world. We are an empire of hundreds." But no one responded, not even the Volari. Because something ancient had shifted. The galaxy felt it, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. "The Mithariku?" Ambassador leaned forward, voice sharp as frost. "Do you know what frightens me, Chancellor? Not their silence, their restraint." Vrolak sneered. "They're bluffing." "No," Kael'tor replied, rising. "They're arriving." A red light pulsed on the war table. One by one, reports from border stations came in. Unidentified signatures, jump trails bending physics. Cold, dark gravity wells where none existed before. Not fleets, not messages, just footsteps. The kind that echoed before a predator stepped through the door, and that was before Earth even responded. The Varkal Thun, a Class 7 dominance cruiser, drifted past the Proxima gate like a spear through fog. Its hull shimmered with adaptive plasma, bristling, with cannons meant to humble planets, and yet Captain Sortal kept his voice low. "Is the relay responding?" "No, Captain," replied the comms officer, her tendrils twitching. "Signal ended 3 hours ago. All feeds ceased mid-transmission." "Visual?" The screen blinked, and there it was. The Proxima relay, spinning, cracked open like a fruit split down the middle. Its interior glowed faintly. No distress beacon, no signs of life, no sign of attack, just absence. "Scan for energy residue," Sortal ordered. The science officer paled. "There's no weapon trace, no radiation, no debris drift. Just one signature, sir. Low-frequency quantum flux. Pattern is unknown. Unknown. In a galaxy ruled by a catalog of death, the unknown was never good." Sortal narrowed his eyes. "Launch drones, circle the relay. I want—" A sudden ping. The proximity alarms chimed. One of the drones was gone. No explosion, no distortion, no errors, just gone. "Captain," said the officer, we didn't lose feed. The drone still exists, it's just not here." "What do you mean, not here?" "I mean the drone is reporting coordinates inside the relay's core, which is physically impossible." Silence pressed down. "Full shields," Sortal snapped. "Arm plasma banks. Signal command." Then came the sound. Not an explosion, not a weapon. A low-frequency tone, like a whale call fed through dying stars. Then a shadow drifted into view, sleek, monolithic, no markings, no exhaust. Its armor was like obsidian polished by time itself, with pulses of red light trailing its seams like veins. The crew froze. "It's human," one of them whispered. Sortal said nothing. The ship didn't move like a battleship. I watched. It hovered. It felt less like a vessel, more like something summoned. "Do we engage?" asked the weapons officer, his voice cracking. Sortal finally exhaled. "No. We leave. We're in their territory now, Captain." "What do we call this zone?" The answer came not from the captain, but from the enemy ship itself. Their screens blinked and a single message appeared in perfect alien dialect. "You're not ready." The human ship didn't fire. It didn't flee. It just drifted past, silent and slow, like a god ignoring insects. The weapons officer swallowed hard. What is it waiting for?" Sortal didn't answer, but he felt it in his bones. They weren't waiting. They were warned. Signature line. It didn't fire, because it didn't need to. "This is absurd," Chancellor Vrolak roared, his voice echoing across the crystalline walls of the council hall. "We outnumber them. We outgun them. They send one ship, one ghost, and you panic?" No one replied. The footage from Proxima still hung suspended. Above the round table, the human ship, silent, unscanned, unshaken, and now, worse, duplicated. "4 more, muttered Admiral Krylos of the Jernak swarm. "Identical profiles, emerging at fringe systems. Same behavior, no transponders, no hostilities, just presence." "Ghost fleets," whispered the Volari delegate. "Moving like shadows between stars." "No," corrected Mathari Ambassador Kaeltor. "Like scalpels. They haven't struck because they haven't decided who matters yet." Silence fell again, the kind that thickens like smoke before fire. An aide rushed in, breathless, a datapad clutched in trembling claws. "Report from Delvar Station," she stammered. "They attempted to intercept one of the human ships, sent a fleet of 10. 10? Vrolak's lips curled. "They never made contact," she said, swallowing. "They lost all propulsion within 10 seconds of approach. Internal systems shut themselves off. Hulls remained intact. Crews are alive, but they won't speak." "Won't or can't?" asked Kyreth. "They're whispering the same sentence, over and over." She turned the pad around. "We shouldn't have looked it in the eyes." A shiver ran across the chamber. Kaeltor closed his eyes. "They're using psychological tactics, symbolism, terror without effort." Vrolak slammed his fist. "Terror? This is cowardice. They strike from the shadows." "No," said Kaeltor, voice grave. "They strike from mirrors." A low hum broke through, the emergency beacon. Everyone turned. An emergency feed flickered to life. Surveillance from a fringe mining outpost. The camera zoomed on a structure, hovering above the moon's surface. A Terran ship, but not a warship, something else. Its hull was shaped like a cathedral. Its glow was white gold, and it was building. Something. "Are they constructing?" the Volari delegate whispered. The outpost commander's voice crackled in the background of the feed. "We offered no resistance. They didn't speak. They just landed and began creating. We don't know what. But it's not a weapon, it's beautiful." And then the feed cut, not abruptly, gently, like a light going out in a dream. Kyreth rose slowly. We must prepare for full engagement. With what? Vrolak growled. They don't even fight us. Kael'tor looked him dead in the eyes. Exactly. The galaxy was built on war. But Earth brought something else. And no one knew if that was better or worse. The Eidolon was quiet. It wasn't broken. It wasn't hiding. It was thinking. Commander Elias Vance stood in the observation chamber, arms folded, watching Saturn's rings turn like the ticking hand of a cosmic clock. Below them, alien probes blinked in the void, watching, recording, trying to make sense of what Earth had become. They wouldn't succeed. Transmission from Central? Vance asked, not turning. Lieutenant Shira glanced at the readout. Still nothing. He nodded. Good. That made her pause. Sir? If they haven't spoken, he said softly, it means we haven't decided yet. Silence fell again. Thick, but never awkward. Silence was humanity's new weapon. Not the kind that threatened, the kind that made you imagine. Report. On the Mithari cruiser? He asked. Disabled within expected tolerance. No casualties. Internal systems forced a shutdown loop. Their medics called it a psychological collapse. Vance exhaled. One ship. No shots. And the Council already thinks we're gods or monsters. He looked up. That's the problem with being quiet for too long. People think you forgot how to scream. There were no cheers on the bridge. No war chants. No drums. Just officers moving with precision, like surgeons prepping for something delicate. Or divine. We got their latest broadcast, Shira said, flicking her screen. A shaky, alien voice echoed through the chamber. They erased our fleets without firing. Their ships hum. They don't broadcast orders. They listen to us before we speak. They knew we'd come. They wanted us to. Vance smiled just a little. They're starting to understand. Understand what? Shira asked. That we're not in the war yet, we're just standing at the door. A moment passed, then a low chime. Not an alarm, not a call to arms, just a click. Every officer froze. Shira's eyes widened. Is that? Vance didn't respond. He tapped the console. The message was short. 2 words. Proceed quietly. AVD spike. No anthem. No speech. Just permission. One by one, systems powered up across the Eidolon. Its hull brightened, not garish, not hostile, just alive. Its reactors hummed in layered rhythms like a choir preparing breath before a hymn. Below them, alien probes retreated, they ran. Vance watched the last dot blink out of view. Let the galaxy panic, he said. Let them scream, scramble, guess. He stepped away from the glass. We'll just keep walking forward. It started with a whisper in the red spire. The Valari homeworld was built like a temple. Floating cathedrals suspended in the atmosphere, cities clinging to columns of light. Here delegates once spoke in song and certainty. Now they whispered, not about strategy, about Earth. She hasn't spoken in 3 days, said a Valari noble, her skin flickering dull. Just stares out at the stars, mumbling that phrase. We shouldn't have looked it in the eyes. The phrase had spread like rot, from outposts to counselors, from warriors to diplomats. Even children repeated it in their sleep. Chancellor Vrolak stormed into the council's emergency chamber, claws clicking like war drums. This panic is manufactured. Earth uses parlor tricks, stealth, psyops, myth. But the Valari delegate didn't look at him. Her hands trembled around her crystal cup. What if myth is the only weapon we can't stop? Vrolak rounded on her. You're suggesting surrender? No, she said, almost inaudibly. I'm wondering if we ever had a choice. AVD spike moment. The Mithari ambassador entered. Then, tired, silent. He laid a data slate on the table. Unconfirmed transmission, he said. Intercepted from the Skarn Dominion. They're breaking ranks, pulling fleets back. They're defecting? Vrolak barked. No, they're hiding. They've erased their star maps, blacked out comms. They're hoping Earth forgets they exist. Silence. A long one, the kind that feels like the last breath before a collapse. Vrolak gritted his teeth. Fine. Let them rot. We'll hold the line with real soldiers. Kaltor didn't move. Just stared. You think this is about soldiers? He asked. This isn't a war. It's a mirror. What does that mean? Volari asked. It means Earth didn't invade. We summoned them. Outside, across 10 sectors, silent ships continued to appear, not attacking, just arriving, above mining stations, near trade routes, orbiting moons, no battles, no damage, just presence. One by one, planets began sending messages, not to the Council, but to Earth. We never supported the Council's decisions. We offer peace. We have data to trade. Vrolak's voice lowered. Treason. Kaltor's voice matched his. Or preparation. The lights dimmed. A new alert flashed across the chamber. Unknown entity detected, orbiting Virex Prime. The Council's own capital world, a single Terran ship. No weapons drawn, no warning, just one line of text projected onto every building screen. The silence is over. Saren Yil had decoded death before. As a master codebreaker for the Virex intelligence spire, he'd unraveled neural viruses, translated dead civilizations, and intercepted black market thought forms sold across subspace. But nothing like this. He stared at the star map overlay projected in his chamber. More than 300 Terran vessels. No firing. No broadcasting. Each positioned precisely over a seemingly random assortment of ancient worlds, dead systems, and burned relics. But now, they formed a shape. He rotated the map, inverted the layer, dimmed galactic cores. His breath hitched. It's a glyph, he whispered. No, a sigil. Behind him, Overseer Kenthal loomed, her voice heavy. What language? Pre-common, pre-dominion. I think it's human, or something older, something they kept while we forgot. AVD spike, emotional flip. Kenthal leaned closer. You're saying this isn't war? I'm saying it's navigation. What are they navigating to? He didn't answer right away, because his next screen flashed. One of the Terran ships had dropped into orbit over a forbidden system, Zathari Drift, an old council graveyard. No resources, no strategic value, just ash and memory. But that ship, it didn't move on. It began deploying drones, digging, and then something emerged from the dust. Not a weapon, not a beacon, a monolith. Perfect, metallic, Terran-coated. But, over 300,000 years old, Saran turned pale. They're not retaliating. Then what are they doing? Kenthal asked. He whispered, they're reclaiming. Suddenly, it all made sense. The ghost ships, the non-violence, the chilling patience. This wasn't conquest. It was a return. Earth hadn't declared war. Earth had come home. Kenthal stepped back. Then the Council has made a mistake. No, Saran said. They've committed a sin, and Earth doesn't forget those. Across the sector, one more Terran vessel blinked into existence, inside a Council-controlled capital ring. The defensive systems didn't activate. They simply refused to fire, as if the ship didn't exist in their logic net. Or worse, as if the ship had been there the whole time. The world of Zeros was dust and memory. Once a holy place for the Zarnath priest tribes, now it was a tactical staging ground for Council fleet deployments. A place for planning wars, until they arrived. The Terran vessel appeared above the ruins at midnight. It didn't decloak. It didn't flash into existence with flare. It just was there, floating, observing, unmoving. General Tyrix of the Zarnath. Command squinted at the view screen. It's the same model we saw at Proxima, he grunted. Black hull. No insignia. Engines are cold. Orders, sir? Tyrix leaned in. No weapons, no threats. Let's try contact. Open channel. The comms officer hesitated. It's already open. Tyrix blinked. What? The channel's been open since they arrived. Silence then. A sound. Not speech. Not machine code. Breath. Human breath. And then a voice. Calm, measured, almost tired. You built your empires on our ruins. The room went cold. You named stars that already had names. Tyrix's heart thudded. Is that a recording? The voice continued. You forgot where the fire came from, and now we return not to conquer. A pause. Soft. Heavy. We return to clean. AVD spike. Tactical reversal. Suddenly, every screen in the command center blinked once, then displayed a synchronized clock. A countdown. Hours. No further explanation, just time. A single line followed. Make peace with what you've stolen. Tyrix. Stumbled back. Is this a threat? No, whispered his science officer. It's a sentence. Outside, the Terran ship didn't move. But below it, the sands of Zeros shifted. Old ruins began to glow. Not with energy, but with recognition. As if they knew what had returned. Far away, across other systems, similar vessels began speaking, each with different voices but the same cadence, different words, same meaning. Judgment had no language barrier, and none of the messages ended in rage. They ended in quiet. The Skarn Dominion had once burned a Terran research colony during the early expansions. They called it a necessary cleansing. Now they were offering Earth a moon, a whole moon. Uninhabited, resource-rich, the Skarn diplomat blurted into the emergency comms relay. We transfer ownership immediately. No strings. Just acknowledge us. Please. Silence. Only the distant hum of the Terran ship in their orbit, parked perfectly still above their atmosphere like a blade hung by gravity alone. It's not responding, said his aide, panic rising. Sir, they're ignoring the moon. They're ignoring us. Elsewhere, the Liveth dynasty offered more. Databanks of stolen tech, encrypted coordinates to council vaults, and the surrender of their entire outer fleet. They got the same answer. None, because Earth didn't come to barter. They came to balance. AVD spike, emotional shift. At the edge of the Aether Nebula, an independent syndicate took a darker route. They transmitted footage of their leaders kneeling. Not metaphorically, physically. Dozens of warlords, heads bowed before their screens. We betrayed the council early. We never fired on your kind. We swear allegiance. The Terran ship hovered above their command tower for 16 hours. No lights. No threats. And then it left. Not out of mercy. Out of disinterest. They don't want submission, whispered one of the warlords, collapsing to the floor. They want a memory. In the Galactic Council's central archives. Whispers spread like wildfire. Entire species deleting records of colonial expansions, redacting invasion logs, burning tapes from Terran observations, as if erasing the past would make Earth forget too. It didn't. From the Zelnar moons to the hollow rings of Drath, Terran vessels continued appearing, always above the same three things: forgotten battlefields, unmarked. Graves buried war crimes they weren't attacking, they were witnessing. The Volari were not warriors. They had built temples, not warships, libraries, not bombs. But when the Council ordered them to observe a pre-FTL species centuries ago, they obeyed. And when Earth was still rebuilding, still healing from its own chaos. The Volari looked away when the Council bombed the Yai, Terran listening colonies. Now their homeworld sat beneath a Terran ship, a single vessel, silent, Stationary, no message, no weapons, just presence. Valari Prime's sky dimmed with its shadow. Elder Misha, the last of the original Council emissaries to Earth, stood before a planetary broadcast tower. No podium, no speechwriter, just a trembling voice. This message is for Earth, for the ones we watched and said nothing. AVD spike, emotional collapse. We remember the Mars facility, the orphans in the wreckage. The frost-covered memorial was left untouched for 3 centuries. We remember the EO poems carved into the walls before the oxygen ran out. She paused. Tears, real phosphorescent tears, dripped from her chin. And we remember doing nothing. Not out of hate, not out of malice, but out of fear. You could have become monsters. You didn't. We were monsters pretending to be architects. The room behind her was silent, no applause, no chorus, no approval, just raw history, exposed like a nerve. The Terran ship above them did not move, but it blinked, a pulse of blue light across its hull. Not a weapon, a signal. For 3 seconds, every data stream across Valari Prime paused. Every console, every screen. Then one message, one sentence. You were seen. Not forgiven, not spared, seen. And that, somehow, cut deeper. Signature line. Forgiveness was never promised, only memory. On thousands of worlds, species waited for the same reply. Some would confess, some would deny, some would run. But Earth would do none of those things, because judgment wasn't coming. It had already arrived. It happened above Tarsus 7, a Council relic world, strategic hub, data vault, orbital fortress, the most protected archive in known space, until they came. Just one Terran ship, no escort, no fleet. But this time, it moved, not with speed, not with fire, with purpose. Across 7 star systems, millions tuned in. Pirates, governments, rebel sects, civilian dreamers, all watching the feed in real time. The Eidolon-class vessel approached the archive's main orbital vault. Council AI defenses booted up, targeted, locked, and then shut down. The vault opened, not from breach, from recognition, AVD spike, tech contrast. Flip, the AI inside the vault, greeted the Terran vessel. Welcome, Administrator. Administrator, not an intruder, not a threat. Administrator, the Council's most secure intelligence system, was theirs, and had always been, from the moment it was reverse-engineered millennia ago, from ancient tech pulled from Earth's own ruins. The vault's core data began uploading, not hacked, not stolen, returned. Every classified operation, every lie, every name, poured out into open transmission across galactic comms. All of it. Earth's now. A full galactic reset, because knowledge wasn't power anymore. Truth was, the Terran ship didn't broadcast a message, it simply drifted away, its mission complete. It left the vault behind, doors still open, as if saying, we don't need to take it. We only needed you to remember who it belonged to. Across alien systems, Council fleets began turning back. Flags were lowered, colonies surrendered not to survive, but to finally exhale. Human ships didn't demand oaths. They never even replied, because this was never conquest. This was closure.